So today we're going to talk about policy, social equity, and why they tie together. So I want to introduce the panelists. We'll allow them to introduce themselves, and we'll take it away. Pass it everyone.
Hi, my name is Devin Abelard. I do communications for Councilwoman Janine Pierce here in Long Beach, but I also handle the marijuana policy or the cannabis policy. I was really excited to be invited to come and talk about this because when you think about equity, there's so many facets to equity involved, and cannabis is just one of those facets. So I was really excited to be invited. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Hi, I'm Elisa Gutierrez. I'm the Executive Director of EPIC, which stands for the Economic and Policy Impact Center. We are a newer nonprofit in Long Beach. We're actually a 501c4, which basically just means we have unlimited advocacy capacity. So we are a think tank and advocacy organization working to expand economic opportunity to all communities through civic engagement, leadership development, and policy advocacy. And so definitely social policy is one of our strong suits, one of the things we focus on. A lot of the work that we do is really we operate on the notion that in order to achieve true economic prosperity for all communities, we must first dismantle the structural barriers, which we'll talk a lot more about today, structural barriers to equity that perpetuate cycles of poverty and really keep people out of, especially low-income people of color, on the sidelines and out of areas where they can build wealth and really engage in owning businesses and owning homes and all of that kind of stuff.
And then last but not least,
good evening. My name is Joe Paul. I'm a steering committee member for the Los Angeles Regional Reentry Partnership, and we're here tonight to really push the social equity component of every city in the county of Los Angeles to ensure that those who've been directly impacted by the war on drugs, that they have an opportunity to benefit from the economic vibrancy that cannabis is bringing to the table as they suffered from penalization or criminalization of the drug at a point in time. I'm glad to be here tonight.
so I want to start off and I want to ask each panelist to describe their own definition of exactly what social equity means. Social equity is kind of a very complex word, and everyone has kind of their own interpretation, but the more we can kind of see the similar vision, that's how we can kind of roll forward. So Devin, please.
Okay. So when you think of social equity, and it's funny, I had this conversation with my sister not that long ago. She found me. I was talking about equity pieces we're doing in the office, and she said, "Equity, you mean like home ownership?" And I said, "Well, like home ownership, but really more in your social determinants. So when you have a home, you have wealth that grows, you have power in your community. If you want to sell that and move on, you can do that. It gives you a certain level of control over your own life." And so when I think about social equity, it's what are the structures in place that you have access to that give you the same type of control in your life? And that's sort of how we look at it from our office.
Definitely. I would say that for me, all of that, plus it's a concept that's really related to concerns of fairness and justice as it relates to social policy. So I think it's easier to understand what equity is when we draw a contrast to equality. I think a lot of people know what equality means, and it's often the sameness. Everybody gets the same thing. Whereas equity really takes into consideration an individual's needs. So knowing that we don't always start from the same playing field, level playing field, and so some of us may need other resources or services in a different way or in a different amount than other people. And so the classic example, I don't know if you've seen this image, is a fence, 3 people looking over a fence. It's a tall person, a medium-sized person, and a short person, like a kid. And if we used an intervention of equality, everybody would be given 1 block for them to stand on. Well, 1 block would, the tall person would still be able to see way over the fence. The medium person would maybe be able to see a little bit. Small person still wouldn't be able to see. So really in that instance, we need equity. We need to give each person what they need to be able to see over that fence. So the tall person may need 1 block. The short person, medium person may need 2, and the short person may need 3. So that's an easier way of understanding.
Well, I'll build off of that, and I'll say that in a simple way, equity is just interest. When you look at it from a social perspective, every voice having an interest in what's going on around them in their community. The piece around cannabis, the unfortunate thing is the very people that have been impacted from the issues prior to when it was a criminal situation, they don't have access into the economic benefits of it today. So in the city of LA, where I'm more familiar with the policies, you have a whole bureau designated to dealing with this issue because the people in the local council districts are not having access, so others are coming in to this situation where the tall person gets one stack and then the other one gets the same. Well, that's what's happening in some of the cities where these licenses are being very restricted, and individuals who live in the communities that could benefit, that have the same interest, they were on the black market side of the business, they just can't transition in. Social equity means interest, in my opinion, having access to just like everybody else.
Thank you.